Busy season doesn't have to mean burnout for your agency. Imagine automating the most repetitive tasks so you can focus on what matters most, serving your clients and growing your agency. Today I'm sharing 5 ClickUp automations that will take the stress out of your busiest times. Whether it's assigning tasks automatically, updating clients without lifting a finger, or ensuring nothing falls through the cracks, these automations are here to save you time and sanity. With that, let's dive in. Let's dive right into it with automation number 1, which is automatically reassigning team members and adjusting due dates. This is one of my most used automations because when you have a clear and concise workflow, there's no reason to be manually adjusting assignees and due dates, truly. Let me show you a couple different examples of this. So using a content workflow, marketing workflow as an example, for our Instagram content process, here's how it flows for us internally. I will review the copy. My executive assistant will take the copy from our copywriter and put it in an Instagram task. Then I will review the copy and get any screen grabs or screenshots, put it in the task, and then move it to ready to design. It's then going to reassign the designer and they're going to start working on it. Once they're ready for review, they're going to move it to ready for review. It's going to reassign me. If it needs edits, we'll go back and forth. Once it's ready to schedule, it's going to reassign my executive assistant. And then once it's scheduled, it'll change the due date and automatically move to publish, which that's actually automation number 5 we're going to talk about. But as you can see, we have a very clear process of who's doing what, and then also what the expectations are of editing turnaround time, review turnaround time, initial content creation time, etc. So how do we actually create this automation? And then I'm going to show you this in real time. So if you click into automations, you can see all the ones that we have in here. So when the status changes to X, change the assignee and change the due date. So if I go into this automation, you'll see when the status changes to needs edits, reassign Nina and change the due date to 1 day later. So now all the team member has to do is go ahead in this task, work on the thing they're working on, and then just go ahead and move this to ready for review. And now ClickUp is going to do the project management for us. They don't even have to think about it. Let me go ahead and refresh. And now I am assigned with a due date of 1 day later. So there we go. They don't even have to think about it. Things are not only going to take up brain space of wondering who to assign it to, when to put the due date, but it's also going to make sure that tasks do not stay stagnant and stale in ClickUp and get lost in statuses along the way. Now, this isn't just pertaining to content workflows. This could be any other process within your company. So if I come into business development, let's go into the leads pipeline. This could also be a task moving to follow up with. Now I know I have to follow up with this lead or prospect. This could also be in a project management template. So here, when we have a project that has a start and end date and a million deliverables, we can have for those individual tasks that when one of these goes to review or needs edits, that it automatically assigns the project manager or whoever's responsible for reviewing or editing that specific task. So let's move on to automation number 2, sending automatic email updates. There are so many ways that you can use this automation, and I can't wait to showcase just a few of them. First, let's talk about doing this internally with your team. So if you have a larger agency or company, not every single team member may be added to ClickUp. In this case, then you want to make sure they're still being notified of task updates when they need to be. For example, say that a team member needs to submit an IT request for, is it a hardware issue, software, account access, whatever it may be. So you can actually create automations that when the request is submitted, they get an email confirmation. When it's in progress, they get a confirmation. If it was denied, ClickUp will let them know by sending them an email. When it was completed, ClickUp will let them know by sending an email. So what does that look like? In the automations, you can see here that when a new task or subtask is created, it's then going to send an email for my email. It's going to go to the email that's on file through the ClickUp form, and it's going to say IT form submission. So it'll say, this email is to confirm the submission. Here's the task ID. You'll be notified once your submission has been completed. You can also add dynamic fields in there as well. So like if it was denied, we have that it puts in the denial reason into the actual body of the email. Talk about saving time. So let me actually show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and turn this automation on for when the new IT form is submitted. So now that this is turned on, let's go ahead and grab this request form link. I'm going to go ahead, copy, paste it in another tab, and I'm going to fill this out. Okay, so now I went ahead and filled in the details. I'm going to click on submit. And now let's go back to the request form link. This is now going to funnel into here. So now you're going to see I'm now in new IT request. And when I click into the task, you'll see that an email was sent to me and it includes the task ID. So this email is to confirm the submission, etc., etc. Now I will show you what it looks like in Gmail. And there you have it. Short and sweet. So that's one example of how you could do this, right, with your internal team. Another way that you can do this is with either clients or people that are outside of your team, like, for example, during the hiring process. So with the hiring process, you can create canned email responses that say you want to offer them an interview. Then it can shoot them an email being like, we really liked your application. We're inviting you to an interview. It includes the scheduler link, and boom. Then say it was not a good fit and you move them to not a good fit. It could send an email being like, hey, it's not a good fit this time, etc., etc. So think about this process of emailing applicants, sending them manual emails. Even if you're copy and pasting and using a template, instead you can literally just click a button and it will send. The third automation that I want to go through is applying a task or checklist template. This is going to ensure consistency and quality control across your tasks and deliverables because it's going to eliminate the need for your team members to remember every single detail that they have to do to complete a specific portion of a task. Let me give you a concrete example. So say we are in the course and program content vault and I'm working on ideating a new lesson. If I come into here and I put, 1.4, why ClickUp is the best, then you're going to see that there's an automation in here running that when a task is created, it's going to apply the course task template, which is then going to upload a checklist. So let me go ahead into this task. And now you can see the action items are here. Brainstorm lesson topic, write lesson outline, create lesson script. You can also, here's a bonus one for you. You can create an automation that when you resolve all of the checklists or the subtasks, that then it would move it to scripting. So there are so many things you can do with automations, and I love ClickUp Automations, but that is an example. Now, that's a checklist. What if you wanted, for example, when a task moves, that it creates a subtask? Let me go ahead and show you that example in the leads pipeline. So let's use follow up with as an example. So if we come into the automations, you're going to see we have an automation that when the status changes to follow up with or follow up with after proposal, it's then going to create a subtask to follow up with and then the task name. And then you can assign it to a specific person, let's say me, with a due date of 3 days later. So let me show you. When I move this task to follow up with, now it's automatically going to create a subtask, add me as the assignee, and give the due date. So let me give this a quick refresh, and there you have it. Now you can see I'm going to follow up with. Now, what ClickUp does not have yet, but they are actively working on it, is the ability to skip weekends or specific days. So I'm super excited for that to come into effect, but you can see how this makes it so much easier. I could always just go in here and move this to Monday. It's not going to break any automations or anything like that. So that is automation number 3, adding subtasks or checklists. Now let's move on to automation number 4, which is adding or moving tasks to designated lists. Let's actually use this leads pipeline as an example. Once a lead becomes an actual client, you can create an automation that once that task moves to booked start onboarding, then it can actually move them to the client database and put them in the status onboarding. So let me show you how to set that up. So if you go into automations, I'm going to click on add automation. So when the status changes to booked start onboarding, then we are going to move to the list client database and then create. So now it's going to say, okay, when it moves there, what do you want this new status to be? So here we're going to make sure every single one is onboarding. And then I'm going to go ahead and click done. Now we'll click done. And now let's watch this in action. So again, we're going to take Zenith Ops. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as completed. If I didn't, it would just move that subtask with it. And now I'm going to move them to booked start onboarding. Now let's go ahead and you're going to watch them move from here to the client database. So now they are gone from the leads pipeline. Let's go find them in the client database. And there you have it. Now what it also did was, as you can see, it added the onboarding checklist as well for that client. So you got a double whammy there in that example. Now I want to actually give another use case for this, which instead of moving the task, it would actually add to a specific list. So the example for this would be in the use case of contractors or freelancers. So maybe you don't want to give your contractors or freelancers access to most of the things in your ClickUp, and you really want to give them one task at a time, but you don't want to spend all this time managing, delegating those things to them. So what you can do is you can create an automation. It could be on the folder level or the space level, that when that person is assigned, it actually adds that task to their individual task list. So let's use this client management template as an example. I'm going to create an automation that when the assignee changes, the assignee Christy is added, then it's going to add the task to Christy's task list. I'm going to go ahead and click on create. So now when I go ahead and I add Christy, let's go ahead and even just add her to this one with Andrea. Now you're going to see if I go into Christy's task list, now you're going to see this was added to Christy's task list, and she can't even tell the difference. If she tries to go into the client management template, she wouldn't be able to, but all of the information about this specific task will be in the task and shared with her. So that is automation number 4. And wrapping up with automation number 5, this automation is being able to auto update a status or piece of information when a due date arrives. You're probably like, what the heck does that mean and why is it important? Because there are certain deliverables and tasks that may be completed where everything is done on the team's end, but for example, they're waiting to be published. So going back to our handy dandy examples of marketing, if I am working on, a specific deliverable, whether I scheduled an email or a blog or anything like that, I have automations running in here that when the task status moves to scheduled, what's going to happen is, let me pull up the automation and show you. It's then going to remove all assignees and it's going to change the due date to the publish date. So if I show you this example, you can see, let me go ahead and move this task to scheduled. It's going to go ahead and remove Fernanda, and it's going to move the publish date to October 31st at 9 a.m. So now you may be like, okay, cool. And then what? So then we have another automation that when the due date arrives and the status is scheduled, that it automatically moves it to published complete and then removes the due date. So once the team has completed this entire deliverable, they've done everything they need to do all the way up into scheduling this to go out, we don't have to go back into ClickUp to update that this email has been sent or social post has been published. ClickUp is going to do that automatically. And those are the 5 automations that I wanted to go through with you today. So there may be ones that may have been mind-blowing. There may have been ones that you're like, yeah, cool, I'm already doing that. Or yeah, that makes sense, but it may feel simple. But take these 5 automations, times it by 10, 20 plus, and you realize how much time and brain space you are going to save you and your team over time. And there you have it, 5 essential ClickUp automations that will transform how your agency handles busy seasons. And any season for that matter. Reminder, the key to stress-free scaling is working smarter, not harder. And these automations are a big part of that. You need to demand more of your systems than your team, and let the robots do it first. If you need help customizing automations for your agency, or you need help with your systems in general, go ahead and visit dasilvalife.com/contact to book a call with us today. We'd love to help you simplify and automate your workflows and set your agency up for success. With that, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any agency tips and tricks. And feel free to send this video to any other team members or agency owners that could benefit from it. With that, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.